Hi, my name is Rick. I'm a compulsive overeater. I do want to mention that I am not a spokesman for Overeaters Anonymous and that this presentation has not been approved by the group Conscience of Overeaters Anonymous. I am only speaking for myself. Here's my story. Mostly as a child, I was not overweight. When I was around 12 years old, I was 20 pounds overweight for 2 years. I have one brother, one sister, and 2 parents. All of them were not overweight. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid, if you get overweight, it's the simplest exercise in the world. Just push yourself away from the table. My mother would tell me, be real careful about what you eat. That worked for her. The eating less worked for my father. But when I was an adult, neither approach worked for me. Actually, when I was a child, I never thought I was going to be overweight. I never dreamed I would be overweight. But then I reached adulthood and I put on some extra pounds. When I was in my 20s, I was about 30 pounds overweight. A good weight for me, the weight I was when I finished high school, and a good weight then would have been 185 pounds. I was around 215 pounds. But through the years, I accepted 30 pounds overweight, then 35 didn't look too bad, then 40, 45, etc. Fast forward a few years, and in the 1980s, I vividly remember weighing 285 pounds, and I could not go a day without binge eating, without overeating. I just couldn't do it, not one day. And if you ask me, Rick, why do you overeat? I think I would have told you that I don't know. And I don't really think I knew. I now know that I was seeking a sense of ease and comfort from the food. By gorging myself, I got a sense of ease and comfort from that. I remember having a snack of junk food, 1,400 calories. Unplanned. And then sometimes a snack of nutritious food. It would be 1,600 calories. It came in a wrapper that said it was nutritious, but it was not. It was not. I don't care what the food was. For me, 1,600 calories at a time is not nutritious. And then I was seeking this sense of comfort or this ultimate high from the food, and it was always getting away from me. It was always in the next bite. When the next bite, the picture of the hand going from whatever container it was to the mouth and not stopping, just continuing to eat until it's finished, till all the food is gone. I was chasing a rainbow which does not exist. I could not stop from starting, and once I started, I could not stop. And then I remember getting on my bathroom scale. I got an error code. I was in my early 50s. The scale went up to 308.5, and my estimate is I weighed about 310 pounds. I was about 43.5% body fat. I then went to a health institute October the 21st of 2007, and they were good guys there. They taught me the evils of overeating and the virtues of getting some exercise. And then 67 weeks later, I'd lost 100 pounds. I was at 197 pounds and 14% body fat. That was a good weight. And then over the next few years, I would go up to 240 and down to 200 and up to 210 and up to 220. Wasn't doing too badly. And then I got a torn meniscus in my right knee. Had surgery, got that fixed. But then I had arthritis in both my knees. I was at 240 pounds. The orthopedic surgeon told me if I would lose that excess weight, that 50 extra pounds I was carrying around, my knees would not hurt. For somewhere between 1.5 and 2 years, I could not stop eating. I could not lose the weight. I just couldn't do it. And my knees hurting limited my exercise, so this was one avenue to take off the weight. I went to OA, Overeaters Anonymous, and I was there for 6 months before I found my abstinence. I was a dangerous person at OA meetings before that because I was always thinking, ooh, these other people at this meeting really need to hear what the speaker's saying. And now it's embarrassing that the food that I binged on the last time, I'd binged on that food 7,000 times, and I still remember being at that Saturday meeting and who was speaking, and it just struck me all at once. It was a bolt of lightning. If you can't stop eating that food, it's a binge food, you can't eat it at all. And I'm a compulsive overeater. I finally accepted step one, and that I not only have to stay away from my binge foods, but I have to control my portions. These days, I work the steps, I pray, I consult with my sponsor, and then I'm a member of the Fellowship of Overeaters Anonymous. There are many techniques. I'm not perfect in this program. I have no desire to be perfect. It is my opinion that if you seek perfection, you're virtually guaranteeing failure. And I've been told that by many people to avoid all or nothing thinking. Progress, not perfection. And then a story, when I was losing my weight after going to the Health Institute, there was a week when I did 63 miles that week between the elliptical and walking, and I was on 2,500 calories a day. And I got on the scale at the end of the week, and it didn't show that I'd lost any weight. When I happen to know I lost 1 or 2 pounds of fat that week, because I know pretty well how my body works, but I had an emotional reaction. I ate a pound of chocolate. That was idiotic. But I didn't, at the time, I didn't have a sponsor. I think if I called my sponsor, they would have said, take a chill pill, don't worry about it. Some of the best advice I ever got in terms of just generally, in controlling what you eat, the woman from The Biggest Loser, Helen Phillips, her advice was, don't wait till Monday, don't wait till tomorrow, start your program right now, right this minute. There's a lot of techniques out there. OA is, we're not a diet and calories club. I do find that it's helpful to consult with people who know what they're doing. It's very helpful to have a sponsor, or it's been helpful for me. Progress, not perfection. And doing your best is its own reward. And that really is true. That's what my coach in high school taught me, and I've remembered that all these years. Let's see what else I got. Being honest with myself is a two-edged sword, and I do think it's good to be honest with yourself, but I also think that you don't want to just beat yourself up. That does nothing for me. I try not to do that. I can't speak highly enough of my sponsor. They saw potential in me that I didn't see. I just didn't see it at all. And they helped me to want to be a better person. Since I've lost my weight, I feel better. I feel things I hadn't felt in 20 years. And it's nice to not feel guilty about the food I eat. Actually, the first day of my abstinence, all of a sudden, I didn't feel guilty about what I was eating because I knew I wasn't overeating. And that's nice. It's nice to eat food and not have guilt associated with it. I also think that I need to remember that my daughter looks to me. I'm very sad that for the first 24 years of her life, I set a bad example. And I can't do anything about that, but for the last 10 years, I've set a good example for her. And it depends on what your goals are. It depends on what your goals are. If your goal is pursuing an amusement park ride in your mouth every time you eat, then you eat a certain way. But if your goal is to nourish your body properly, that's an entirely different approach. Now, those are the two extremes. I live between the two extremes. And what I try to do is to at least lean towards the nourishing my body. My eating is not perfect. I never intend for it to be perfect. Eat adequate food, balanced diet, for me consumed at appointed times in a healthy manner, such as not wolfing my food. That's not a good behavior. That's not going to take me where I want to be. What profiteth it a man if he gain the whole world and yet lose his soul? Good health is never on sale. Doing your best is its own reward. And then I have quotes. I'm going to do quotes. I love quotes. They're some of the things that help to motivate me. 90% of the game is half mental. That's Yogi Berra, the baseball player. If you will not settle for anything less than your best, you will be amazed at what you can accomplish in your life. Vince Lombardi. Man built most nobly when the most was required of imagination in order to build it all. Frank Lloyd Wright. Training and conditioning was the most important thing. Walter Payton. And then my last quote is from a gentleman by the name of Dick Hoyt. Yes, you can. You can do anything you want to do as long as you make up your mind you can do it. If you don't know who Dick Hoyt is, he's a man that used to do the Ironman Hawaii race, a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, immediately followed by a 26.2 mile run. And he did all these things with his son in a little rubber raft behind him, and then with his son on the bicycle with him, and then his son in a little three-wheeled cart. His son's a quadriplegic. And he took his son on to do that race. That is incredible. I will close with some of my favorite prayers. First step prayer. Lord, help me to see and admit that I am powerless over my compulsive overeating. Help me to understand how my compulsive overeating has led to unmanageability in my life. Help me this day to understand the true meaning of powerlessness. Remove from me all denial of my compulsive overeating. Dear God, my name is Rick, and I need your help today with my compulsive overeating. Amen. Third step prayer. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. A prayer on awakening. God, please direct my thinking